This video is sponsored by PokemonStore.com, the best place to get yourself some TCG code cards. They are compatible with TCG Live as well, and they literally have everything. Use the coupon code ZapDosTCG for 5% off on everything on the website. This video is also sponsored by CardsMarket.com. This is a European platform where you're able to buy and sell cards to people all across Europe. I personally use it every single day, and you can use the referral name ZapDosTCG when creating an account. Also, this video is sponsored by YourPlaymat.com, the best website to create your own unique custom playmat from scratch. They ship worldwide and you can get 10% off by clicking the link down below. How cool is that? Last but not least, this video is sponsored by DragonShield.com, the best website to, of course, buy accessories. They have sleeves, they have binders, they literally have everything you want to start playing competitively. Or, if you're a collector, you can also get some fresh looking clear fit sleeves. They have everything. Check the link down below, of course, the affiliated link, and you're going to be helping out the channel so much. Thanks for sticking around with the commercials, and I'll see you guys shortly. Peace. What's up YouTube, it's ZapDosTCG here and welcome back to our TCG video on my channel. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. You're gonna get daily content over here, and the cool thing is we're gonna be talking about all Brilliant Stars decks today, and that's going to be continuing every single day from this video forward. So Brilliant Stars is here, regional championships are coming, team challenges coming for a lot of people, so you want to be knowing what the best decks will be with, of course, Brilliant Stars thrown into the mix. This is going to be the standard format. We're going to be focusing on that first because the channel mainly focuses on the standard format, and this is going to be the top 10 best decks that we need to take a look at. Of course, this is also based on statistics that we got from Trainer Hill, which is actually based on the results from the Play.LimitlessTCG website, and there has already been taken a lot of tournaments into account. Of course, there was the Sunday Open, there has of course been that Full Grip Games events with of course a lot of people joining. So you want to be seeing which decks are going to become good. We also have, of course, something we should note down is like decks like Durand and Mad Party are not included in here because they are simply not that popular. Same goes for Charizard VSTAR as well as a Raichu v Arceus builds. That does not mean they cannot win tournaments, but they have not been included because the statistics doesn't get the data from them. And also I want to be noting down here is that your opinion could be entirely different. If that is the case, be sure to let me know in the comments what you think personally is the best deck in the Brilliant Stars format. Okay, regionals are happening again, and we have some dates floating around here. So as you can see, it will start in 2 weeks time in Australia. We're going to be seeing, of course, the first regional championships, then going over to Salt Lake City. We have, of course, the United States. Then in Europe we have Liverpool regionals, and there's also a regionals, of course, in April the 2nd in, of course, Brazil. So everywhere in the world, regionals, super cool to see. Team challenges are also still commencing, by the way. So have to be taking a look at which decks are gonna become very popular. Also, Jolteon VMAX has dropped down significantly, not even joining into the top 10 anymore, just because of the existence of Manaphy. But that could change if people are forgetting to tag in their Manaphy. Jolteon might surprisingly win a tournament. Same goes for Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX, which in that sense also has a great matchup against all of these Arceus builds. Okay, let's just get this adventure started with number 10, Eternatus VMAX. This has already won a tournament with, of course, Vinny Fernandez from Brazil getting, of course, first place with an Eternatus VMAX list like this. You, of course, have Choice Belt allowing Eternatus VMAX, as you can see, to swap up ridiculous amounts of damage. With the full bench, that's 270 damage, and with Choice Belt, that's 300. Add in some Scoop Up Nuts and Galarian Zigzagoon into the mix, and you can get one-hit KO on anything in the game. You also are the Dark type, which means you can just hit weakness against the most popular deck in the format, Mew VMAX, which is very cool to see. The Eternal Zone gets me a little bit concerned because there's a lot of decks now attacking Collapse Stadium. Also, there's still a lot of lists running around with Path to the Peak, which shuts down the Eternal Zone ability of the Eternatus VMAX. I don't know if that's going to be too impactful because V-Stars only have 280. So with, of course, Choice Belt and some Zigzagoons, you don't always need a ridiculous amount of Pokemon on the bench. There's a shopping center in here, which allows you to switch around a tool card from play, so you can just get it back in hand, allowing you to flip-flop between like Choice Belt and the Air Balloon here for free retreat. No Hiding Dark Energies is good because, of course, Duraludon is seem to be very popular in this format. Also, this is also based on only 1 week of results of Brilliant Stars and will probably change very quickly with, of course, the meta developing. It's always the same like that, so take this with a grain of salt. Eternatus might still bump itself up to a little bit higher up on the place, but I'm keeping it here on the number 10 spot because I might actually got like a first place winning victory in one tournament, but that does not mean it's going to be the best deck ever. The cool thing I love about this list is the consistency. With 4 Ultra Ball, you're going to be able to draw a lot of cards because it empties your hand, fetches a Pokemon, and Crobat can draw more cards than ever before. A streamlined list with, of course, a one-off Hoopa, allowing you for quick damage output on the early phase of the game with the Assault Gate slapping 90 to a Pokemon on the active slot if you flip-flop between. And with Scoop Up Net and Air Balloon, it's definitely possible to do that. So very consistent Eternatus VMAX. Yeah, as the reasonings were of course it being weak to fighting could be a little bit troublesome with Galarian Zapdos sneaking around and a lot of lists lately, so that's bad. On top of that, there's also Path to the Peak and Collapse Stadium, keeping this deck from being the best deck in the format. Now let's check about some matchup spread here. I included a lot of decks. Not all of the decks are included in this matchup spread, so don't worry about that factor. We're going to be taking a look at the most popular decks, yeah, which is going to be impactful. Okay, favorable matchups is Duraludon because we're not playing any single special energy, which is good. We can just simply two-shot Duraludon because our damage output is ridiculously high, and also we tank a hit. They two-shot us, we two-shot them, but we are a little bit faster mostly, and we also can take additional prize cards on Arceus VSTAR, which we can, of course, one-hit KO. There's also the Mew VMAX, which is favorable in that sense, is that you just have to retreat your Eternatus by any means, or just get 2 Eternatus up, and if you can are able to do that, you're going to be able to slap with Eternatus VMAX, one-hit KO a Mew VMAX or a Meloetta, and just, yeah, they're not able to return KO you, and you're going to have a favorable matchup. You also have Galarian Moltres with the Dire Flame Wings and some energy switches to help out with that. Even matchups, I would say Rapid Strike Malamar. It depends on how well they draw of a Marnie, so sometimes with Marnie they still have everything and blow up on you. Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX is also a little bit even. It depends on the matchup, depends on if they slap down Path to the Peak, if they have a crazy busted start. A lot of factors take into consideration. Galarian, Weezing, Moltres, same as an even matchup. Suicune, Ludicolo. But with Suicune, Ludicolo, you have to be careful of your bench space, by the way. Don't go over benching or they will punish you with the Blizzard Rondo. There's also some unfavorable matchups, mainly because of the fact that they run, yeah, some fighting type stuff. We have Single Strike Urshifu VMAX, and there's Arceus VSTAR Toolbox running Galarian Zapdos, and Gengar VMAX also punishes the more V Pokemon you're playing, and yeah, Eternatus VMAX runs a bunch of course, V Pokemon. You can still swap it around with a light part build, but I'm content with that, yeah, first place winning list of Vinny Fernandez. Moving forward is the Rapid Strike Malamar. Rapid Strike Malamar is, of course, one of my favorite decks. This is the Inteleon build, allowing you, of course, to finish off some stuff later with quick shooting. Sometimes you can quick shoot, scoop him up, evolve another Drizzle, and scoop up. So you technically have like 40 ping somewhere out of nowhere. I love the fact you can utilize the Turffield Stadium to fetch Jumpluff. Could also be a Skiploom depending on what Pokemon you prefer. But Jumpluff is actually a Pokemon being able to, of course, get it out with Evolution Essence, Levelable on top of Turffield. If you slap down Turffield and then use the new Cynthia's Aspiration, actually Cynthia's Ambition, allowing you to draw cards until you have 8 if a Pokemon got knocked out during the opponent's last turn, you're going to be able to have a huge hand. Rapid Strike Malamar slaps 40 damage for every Rapid Strike card you're willing to reveal from the hand, and then you shuffle it back into the deck. The cool thing is, of course, with the Drizzle engine, you're going to be able to start with Subble most of the time, and if you have Subble, you can go for Keep Calling, and also there's also the fact you can utilize Brawly here, searching your deck for 3 Rapid Strike Pokemon and slap them down on the bench. A lot of Rapid Strike cards in this list, even Karina's Focus is a Rapid Strike card, Octillery, searching out any Rapid Strike card from the deck with its ability, and the Quick Shooting Inteleon is also a Rapid Strike card. The cool thing with this list is, of course, that there's a one-off bosses orders, which might surprise a lot of people. People think Rapid Strike Malamar never bosses, but little do they know that there's still a sneaky bosses orders thrown around in this list. With the high amount of Scoop Up Net, you're going to be able to, of course, get the Octillery back in hand, allowing you to get 2 more Rapid Strike cards in hand. On top of Turffield, get another card. On top of the insta-playable cards like Evolution Essence and Levelable, fetching out some more cards. You're going to be Shazam! One-hit KOing anything in the game. And Manaphy does protect your bench, which is very good in this list. We do see Manaphy popping up here and there, and Manaphy is very great in this list because there's 2 rescue carriers to get it back. So against stuff like, if you're ever seeing Jolteon, it's not an Other Laws anymore, just because we've gotten the crazy rescue carrier and Manaphy combo. Very crazy list. If you can get it off, this is probably the best deck in the format, but it does have its consistency issues. Sometimes you have these opening hands where you have Inteleon, Jump Live Inteleon, and stuff doesn't work out, then you brick. It is what it is, but if you can get it off, it's very strong here. Malamar, Rapid Strike. Let's see some matchups here. Of course, yeah, multiple prize Pokemon are, of course, always a favorable matchups, but the reason why there are some even matchups or maybe some unfavorables is because sometimes they are just too tanky or they have a lot of Marnie and ways to heal and stuff. Typically, you want to go for the one-hit KOs. The reason why Duraludon VMAX is unfavorable is that you cannot attack with your Rapid Strike energies, so if you're running out of basic Psychic energies, you're probably going to be losing, and you don't always draw into that basic Psychic energy. You will have to utilize a Fog Crystal to find it. Sometimes you don't one-hit KO, they retreat into another Duraludon VMAX. It could be a little bit unfavorable, definitely if they're also playing that Collapse Stadium that limits your bench space. I would say favorable matchups. I've tested a lot, and against Mew VMAX, you actually have like a 60-40 matchup, so against Mew, don't worry about that. Gengar doesn't even stand a chance, although they could utilize a Morpeko in their list on top of Ordinary Rod to just attack with some Houndooms. Typically, their Houndoom engine is only like a 3 count or something, so you should be alright against that. And the Arceus VSTAR is more, toolbox is more focused on countering like the VMAXs and VSTAR Pokemon. Even matchups, again, Single Strike Urshifu VMAX with Umbreon depends. If you start with Inkay and they, of course, have, the Houndour in the active position, they attach a Single Strike energy, they could initiate the prize trade, and as soon as they're running like a lot of, maybe they're playing one Ordinary Rod, then things could go very wrong. It's still an even matchup, but other than that, there's also Ice Rider and Suicune, which are both even matchups, and the reason for that is that they could sometimes utilize Raihan to attack with Shady Dealings Inteleon. Shady Dealings Inteleon slapping 120 damage to the active and then 20 to one of the opponent's bench Pokemon, allowing for some quick shooting plays to get multiple prize cards in a turn, so that sometimes could become even. And Eternatus is also a little bit even, I would say. Depends on how well they pilot the one prize Hoopa and how well they could Marnie you. They have 340 freaking HP, so Eternatus is a huge monster, so it's an even matchup. So Rapid Strike Malamar. Did I say with Eternatus that it was, unfavorable matchup was Malamar? No, it is even, as I was saying. So, moving forward, we're going to be talking about Single Strike Box, Single Strike Urshifu with Umbreon. Nothing has changed too much about this list. We do see that Ultra Ball makes its huge debut in this list. We don't see Choice Belt, although Choice Belt could help on top of the Stool Scrapper, having a more reasonable out against stuff like Duraludon to actually one-hit KO them. And I do love the one of Morpeko because it helps out so much against Mew with tempo. Single Strike Raw, knocking out Mew VMAX. That's how it is. On top of this, we are also running 2 copies of Crobat, helping so much with the Ultra Ball here early on to, of course, get everything. No more Battle VIP shenanigans because sometimes that does not work out. And I do think that the Ultra Ball version with, of course, 2 copies of Crobat is good. We, of course, have a 4/4 line of Houndoom. Getting that Single Strike Roar off on top of Capture Energy will allow you to get Houndours into play. And as soon as you get Houndoom out, you can get your attackers up and running. Single Strike Urshifu VMAX can hit through anything, any ability, any effects, whatever. So very great against stuff like Duraludon because you can one-hit KO them. If you have all your Single Strike energies on there, you slap 270. If you can get 4 Single Strike energies on there, that's an additional 80 freaking damage. It might be short if they have the Big Charm, so that's maybe thinking about adding in a Tool Scrapper or maybe adding in Choice Belt. Any of those cards would be fine. I don't know which card I would cut here because it's very consistent, this list, and consistency is almost always key when playing the Pokemon TCG. The matchup spread looks like this. It looks very great, right? Duraludon, you might have a favorable matchup, but it depends on if you have Tool Scrapper or if you have, of course, Big Charm. If not, you can try to just use the attack twice, right? The G-Max 1 blow can go through any effects anyhow, so you can do that twice. If you have some of your Urn of Vitalities that are laying around in your deck, you can find them at the correct time. Eternatus, Arceus stuff, you can just hit those for weakness, as well as Gengar. Hitting for weakness with the fighting type is huge. Mew is even, depends on if they get the Meloetta start off or not. If they do get it off, Morpeko is your best friend. Rapid Strike Malamar is even because of, I mentioned before that you can get the prize trade started off on turn 1 with a Houndour. Let's say they have 1 Inkay and that's all they have. You can actually utilize the Houndour, Single Strike Energy, or maybe even the Umbreon, Single Strike Energy, and just knock out the active Inkay, which happens. Ice Rider, even matchup. And unfavorable, I would say, is Suicune Ludicolo because you do damage yourself with the Single Strike Roars. Same goes with the Galarian Weezing. They could come with a Sableye and smack you even though you put the damage onto yourself. And Suicune just gets the one-hit kills because you typically have a large bench size with those Houndours lying around. Next is Suicune Ludicolo. I don't see a lot of great changes in here. The only thing I see is the one-off choice belt. You might also think about adding an Echoing Horn or adding in a 1 copy of Ultra Ball, which could be very much having synergy with the Melanie here. It's just a great card all around. Jolteon now lowers down in popularity, which is huge for Suicune Ludicolo. In the past, it was one of the best decks before Jolteon just rose in popularity out of nowhere. And of course, the great thing about this list is that, of course, you can one-hit KO VMAXs with, of course, evolving with the Enthusiastic Dance on top of Choice Belt, on top of Quick Shooting. Actually, now that I think about it, there's no Quick Shooting in here. You might add in 1 Quick Shooter. This is just based on getting back-to-back Ludicolos off because there's 4 rare candies in here. So consistent Suicune, you don't actually need quick shootings all that much anymore because of the choice belt that could come out of nowhere. But I personally would cut 1 Shady Dealings Inteleon for 1 copy of the quick shooter Inteleon, which could help out with math fixing. Lots of scoop up nets in here, by the way. So also, if you have a Sobo, you can instantly go to Inteleon with the rare candy as well. Fetch whatever you want. This is going to be another consistent list in this top 10 with Suicune Ludicolo. We see some favorable matchups in the form of Galarian Weezing because you're a 2-price Pokemon and you're going to be, even if they come with Sableye, you can 1-hit KO and uptrade again. There's a Single Strike Urshifu, as mentioned, they damage themselves. A lot of even matchups with Suicune, so that's cool if you want to have a lot of even matchups. Unfavorable is, in my testing, Mew. This has a rough time against Mew. Just because they could outplay you, right? They could slap down the Oricorio for some extra bulk defense. They could not slap down their entire bench. They 1-hit KO you regardless. You only run 2 copies of Cape of Toughness. And with Mew VMAX, it's now easier than ever before to find that choice belt. And on top of Power Tablet to 1-hit KO Suicune back-to-back. And Duraludon, also not the easiest task in the world with your capture energies on top of it. So you have to rely on basic energies and they 1-hit KO you. So looks to be tricky for me. And also Arceus VMAX one-shots you with the choice belt. So Arceus VSTAR, I would say. Moving forward, number 6, Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX. One of my personal favorite decks in this format. You can do so much with, of course, the V-Star ability of Arceus VSTAR. Star Birth is basically like Shady Dealings, but I can get any card out of the deck, any 2 cards. In this situation, there's also 3 copies of the Double Turbo Energy, which I found very useful because the reason why there's 3 copies of that in here, because sometimes you get Pat to the Peak and you don't draw into your Double Turbo, or you cannot find your Double Turbo. Here in this list, you want to be utilizing the attack, the Trinity Nova, slap 210 damage because you have Choice Belt, and the Double Turbo Energy reduces the damage output by 20, so you have 210 damage output with Arceus. You put some energies onto your Ice Rider VMAX, and Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX finishes off everything because with Choice Belt, Leon, and Quick Shooting, you can one-shot anything in the game basically. So I love this list. I've been testing with this quite a bit. I love the way you can also utilize Collapse Stadium to discard one of your Pokemon, which actually helps out with the price trade. Sometimes your Arceus gets damaged, you retreat, you utilize the Collapse Stadium to discard it instead of the opponent having access to take prize cards. Same goes for the Ice Rider VMAX. You can retreat it after taking a blow, and then of course get rid of the damaged Pokemon with Collapse Stadium. Also with Ultra Ball and of course Quick Ball, there's more outs to Melanie, which I like, and the one of Raihan helps out a ton against 1-price archetypes because you can utilize the Sword and Shield Inteleon to start being a 1-price attacker. With the high amount of Double Turbo Energies, your Quick Shooting Inteleons also sometimes could become reasonable attackers. I know they only will slap down 50 damage because you reduce damage by 20, but with some quick shooters and here and there, you can actually do some stuff with that as well. And don't forget, you have a Rite of the High King, allowing it to utilize it with the Double Turbo Energy, allowing for some boss and 1 attachment turn plays, which the deck lacked in the past. So very cool deck. We see here is that you don't want to be seeing Weezing because you're running a Subble engine and sometimes you just crumble instantly. You might think like, oh, why doesn't Suicune have an unfavorable matchup against Weezing? Well, the reason for that is that they can attack as a basic Pokemon and they typically just slap their bench full and they just attach and KO. Here you need combo pieces, you need to evolve, you need your Double Turbo Energy, etc. So Galarian Weezing a little bit hard. I would say a lot of decks are very even. Even the Rapid Strike Malamar, if you pilot it well with Raihan. There's also some favorable matchups in here with Single Strike Urshifu and Umbreon. You don't need a lot to one-hit KO them. They damage themselves with Single Strike Roar. Same goes for Gengar, and you can just go crazy. Same goes for Duraludon, by the way. Duraludon is a tanky Pokemon, but you rely on basic water energies. Most of your deck runs on basic water energies, so you can two-shot them, and that's going to be very good for you. If they go for Arceus VSTAR, you can also one-shot that with 1 Choice Belt and Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX. Number 5, a new deck coming out of the woodworks from the Tournament of Doom. We have Arceus VSTAR Toolbox. Very unique deck because there's so many pieces in here. Also a lot of one-offs, although Arceus VSTAR fetches out any cards from the deck with Star Birth, a once per game ability. This has answers against literally everything. Oh, I'm up against Eternatus, I'm up against Gengar. Well, here comes Zapdos flying out of nowhere with 1 energy, being able to one-hit KO anything because you can just get the energies on here with Arceus VSTAR. So in the first place, it's just attachment onto Arceus, following turn, Arceus VSTAR, get that double turbo energy, maybe boss something, take some KOs, and get your counter attacker ready on the bench. With, of course, a high amount of darkness Pokemon, we have the one of Galarian Moltres from Evolving Skies, which allows to Malevolent charge itself up and one-hit KO Mew VMAX in the late game. There's also Galarian Moltres V, its big brother, being able to absorb energies from the discard pile to it. And it's going to be, on top of that, you can go for Dire Flame Wings and use the attack on another Galarian Moltres. So there's 2 Galarian Moltres, 2 threats being prepared instantly. I love the fact that Ditto can transform into any Pokemon you want. So even these one-offs could become multiple offs if you need them. Yveltal can get rid of 3 special energies. Very huge against, turn 1 Meloetta from the opponent going second. There's also access to the Zamazenta. You might think, why is the Zamazenta in here? Not only can you discard your hand and draw cards until you have 5, your turn does end, but this also allows for some discard synergy with Galarian Moltres, but more impactfully, you're going to be able to one-hit KO's Ice Rider, Calyrex, VMAX if they've taken a couple of prize cards with the Zamazenta V. So it basically counters everything. The Hoopa V counters the single strike decks, actually single strike Urshifu VMAX and Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX entirely, so you can counter everything. The thing I see here, why it's only number 5, is that people might not get used to this deck, or people might be playing Path to the Peak. This list is running a bazillion amount of abilities. So think about Lumineon, think about Arceus VSTAR, think about Moltres, and there's only 3 copies of Stadiums in here. So early game Path to the Peak might shut this deck down, and then that's why I'm a little bit concerned. I've also seen people attacking Pumpkaboo here. That could be a thing, but this deck literally has answers against every deck out there. I love the Clara can get back the Moltres or any other Pokemon whatsoever. Charon Scare can get that Arceus back in hand, so you have some prize NL against 1 prize decks. Super huge deck, but has some consistency flaws with Path to the Peak. Let's see just some matchup spreads. We do see that single strike Urshifu Umbreon is a little bit difficult because Umbreon has a weakness to grass, which we don't counter, and single strike Urshifu has, of course, other means. You can just use the gusting capabilities. They have single strike, so they can just knock out Arceus and hit that for weakness. Knock out the 2 prizers as well. Lots of 2 prizers in this list. There's also, they could also utilize the Yveltal for that, but there's the Urn of Vitality, which backfires in that situation. I would think Rapid Strike Malamar is a little bit unfavorable because in this list I don't see anything that could help against that. There's all multiple prize Pokemon. I know there's a 1 prize Moltres, but that you don't get that off every game, so that's unfavorable. You also see favorable matchup is Eternatus and Galarian Moltres. Why is Gengar not thrown in there with unfavorable, actually with favorable matchups? The reason why that is that Gengar runs a high amount of Path to the Peak. And with Path to the Peak, you can shut down Star Birth, you can shut down the ability on the Galarian Zapdos. So sometimes you can take the upper hand and boss up some stuff while the Path to the Peak is in play. You can also still attack with the regular Gengar V, and you have access to single strike Urshifu V as well. Other matchups are a little bit even, I would say. So yeah, let's get it going. Although Duraludon might seem difficult, you have a lot of basic attackers, right? You can attack twice with Moltres. Depends on if they run the Crystal Cave. In my situation, in my opinion, Duraludon should be playing the Crystal Caves, but we're going to be seeing Riley's list later for Duraludon, which runs Collapse Stadium instead. Number 4, Gengar VMAX. Here we are, Gengar VMAX. This is the ideal build for Path to the Peak. No Tower of Darkness. Why no Tower of Darkness? Because we have Ultra Ball, Cramomatic, and Crobat. We have 2 copies of Crobat, and with Ultra Ball again, allowing you to just dig deeply for those Houndours. We have, of course, Quick Ball, we have Cramomatic, and Battle VIP Pass. Here, Battle VIP Pass, I think, is very strong, because as soon as you get 1 Battle VIP Pass in the opening hand, you already say, like, Gengar is going to be slapping for a huge amount of damage. With the G-Max follow-up, 250 damage. I know you cannot attack the next turn, but you have Switch and Hiding Dark Energy to reset the attack effect. And on top of that, you could also utilize the Single Strike Energy to buff up the damage output even further, and this list is just legit. I also wonder if we could not add in Choice Belt in here to make it more easier than ever before, but in this list, they opted to go for a high amount of Path to the Peak on top of 2 Tower of Darkness. So lots of stadiums, lots of draw. You can get your Gengar up very easily, but I personally would add in 2 copies of Choice Belt in here. If I had to guess, I probably would cut down on 1 Tower of Darkness and 1 Bruno or whatever. to just fetch ourselves, yeah, 2 choice belts, because I do think that's gonna help. Not only can you get rid of the choice belts with Cramomatic, it's going to be very impactful for sure. So in this situation, cut down 1 Bruno, cut down maybe 1 Cramomatic or whatever, and add in 2 choice belts. Yeah, cut down 1 Tower of Darkness as well. So you're gonna be able to add in the choice belts, and you're gonna be able to one-hit KO anything. Moving forward, here the matchup spread for yeah, Gengar. It doesn't seem too promising. Lots of even matchups. Favorable is Eternatus because they have a huge amount of V Pokemon regardless, and you can just punish those. And there's also Mew VMAX, which is favorable, of course, because you hit them for weakness. Then, yeah, number 3, Galarian Weezing Moltres. This is actually one of the most popular decks as of late. I don't know why that is. It's just maybe tempting to just shut down all abilities instantly with that neutralizing gas Weezing. That might make sense. I don't know if I would play this because sometimes you don't get the first turn coughing start off, and they do a lot of stuff, and you only rely on yeah, you can slow the game down again with Weezing, but it's always a little bit scary, right? You do have Inteleon Engine to fetch whatever you want. Manaphy protecting the bench again against Jolteons on Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX. So you do see all the 1 price deck. Just loving the Manaphy include here. And you also have access to that late game Galarian Moltres, which can one-hit KO, of course. Mew VMAX could also help out against other matchups because 270 on top of quick shooting can do some havoc. You can also attack with Hoopa first and then attack with the Moltres. You can slow the opponent down with Weezing and then attack with the Sableye using Raihan. This list has been figured out and it's very good. Yeah, you should definitely not sleep on this. Ultra Ball also has some extra depth to the deck because you can then fetch out anything you want, whether it's an evolution Pokemon or a basic Pokemon early on. If you want to see, there's 7 darkness energies in here, so yeah, we'll definitely want to be showcasing that. So 7 copies of the dark energy, so you know what to play. So this Galarian Moltres, maybe you can add in a Galarian Moltres V, which can get set up instantly with Raihan. I love that factor, so maybe think about that, but this list looks pretty good. Yeah, you can see, don't get tempted. There's a lot of favorable matchups here because shutting down abilities seems to be OP. But don't be surprised that Mew VMAX can actually yeah, get a better hand of you. I know Mew VMAX is favorable, but sometimes it can come out of nowhere, Meloetta donk you out of nowhere. So that's the thing that Mew VMAX has. Even matchup is Eternatus because they have so much HP and you can switch to the bench. You can attack with they can attack with the Hoopa. Duraludon also seems pretty difficult on top because they have so much HP, right? Hoopa 90, what is that against the Duraludon? And some unfavorable matchups. Arceus VSTAR Toolbox is pretty unfavorable because they have the Chair and Scare and they only rely on 2 price Pokemon. Same goes for Suicune V. They have the 1 price attackers and they have Suicune, so those are a little bit unfavorable. Then Duraludon VMAX, number 2. Yeah, Duraludon VMAX, this is based on Riley's list with, of course, Collapse Stadium. And personally, if I would change anything about this list, I would go for 4 copies of Crystal Cave and adding in 2 copies of Hyper Potion and being the most tanky Duraludon VMAX the world has ever seen. Maybe you can cut down Choice Belt, maybe you can cut down 1 Pokegear and just go crazy for Hyper Potions and 4 Crystal Cave. That would be fantastic to try out. So what else do we see here? Arceus VSTAR powers up Duraludon. There's only 2 copies of the Duraludon V because you can get Duraludon VMAX out with the Single Strike Mustard out of nowhere. Very easy to do that with a high amount of Ultra Ball and Quick Ball in this list and Instableable Pokegear as well. You have 4 balls, 4 research, 4 Marnie, so super consistent with that factor, although I've bricked a lot by playing a deck like this. Don't know why that is. Maybe I'm getting more used to playing Zacian. Who knows? So Arceus can take some KOs early on with the Choice Belt. We've already seen that Arceus does that very well. And there's, of course, the Duraludon being very tanky with Big Charm. So with Big Charm and the Hard Coding ability, you can see that Duraludon doesn't go down very easily. And definitely when you evolve it, being immune from special energies is huge. We've seen a lot of decks with special energies in the format, and that's definitely going to be helping this list out. So it has been refined, although Hyper Potions and Crystal Cave are more my cup of tea. So what do we see here? Favorable matchup is a Rapid Strike Malamar because of the fact you can have Marnie and Collapse Stadium and you have so much HP. With Big Charm you have like 360. How many do they need? Like 9 cards in hand if they get Marnie. That not always happens. So what else can you see is that Suicune Ludicolo is favorable because of the fact they are running on the Capture Energy. Even matches at Mew VMAX, sometimes they blow off, they go off, sometimes they don't. But as soon as you, of course, see that they have Mew VMAX with special energies, they have to rely on Max Miracle to dish damage. So that's where the Hyper Potion will come into play. If you want to buff up your Mew VMAX matchup, add in Hyper Potion. Mark my words, it's gonna work. Gengar is even because they have Path to the Peak. Sometimes that could be enough to just go crazy and just ignore the Skyscraper ability completely. Unfavorable matchups on there is Eternatus. They have all basic energies. Single Strike Urshifu hits through everything with the G-Max 1 blow. And Ice Rider relies mostly mostly on basic energies. Then, number 1, you guessed it, it is here. Mew VMAX. No, this is probably the perfect 60, I would say. Not a lot I would change. Probably like the exact same 60 that I'm playing at this point. Yeah, I think it's the exact same 60. So what can we see? What has happened to Mew VMAX during the Fusion Strike days? We see 4 Ultra Ball, making the deck even more bonkers because they can thin out the hand to draw more cards with Fusion Strike system. People have now grabbed to Oricorio for good reason because Choice Belt is now in the mix, making it easier for people to KO Mew VMAX. You can also sometimes spread some damage with that secondary effect if you trap some opponents. Could be interesting against some Weezing decks or whatever. What else can we see is that the double escape rope helps against Weezing a lot. Also allows you to just get a Pokemon that they will are setting up on the bench to the active slot. Helps out a lot against like those Duraludon matchups. So you rope KO instantly because you can rope Alessa Sparkle, Power Tablet, Choice Belt, boom, and knock everything out. This is the strongest deck in the world for now because they have, of course, the capabilities of donking any deck. Even if you have a favorable unfavorable matchup with Mew VMAX, you can still have the chance of donking. You go second, boom, you win. Because they only have one Pokemon and you donked them. So yeah, don't sleep on Mew VMAX. You have Crematic finding Battle VIP Pass. And with 4 Battle VIP Pass, 4 Ultra Ball, 3 Fog Crystal, 4 Quick Ball, you're setting up your bench instantly on turn 1. I've seen a lot of things happening. I also love the split here with 2 Rose Tower, 2 Training Court. Training Court is important to get back your basic energy. Rose Tower has so much synergy with Ultra Ball. For me, this is the perfect 60. If you want to be playing Mew VMAX at a regional art team challenge and do very well, this is the perfect 60 for you. You have to play this in order to just get some championship points for sure. Mew VMAX super good. Although it might get countered, even if you get countered by Galarian Weezing, you have escape ropes, you typically win against that. Single strike Urshifu with Umbreon sometimes loses against Mew VMAX. It's just the strongest deck all around. The only deck I could see working out pretty well against Mew VMAX is some sort of the toolbox deck with, of course, having the Yveltal, getting rid of all these special energies. That could definitely help slow this deck down. But this is the strongest deck. And let's check out the matchup spread. I might see like only one Ludicolo. Only Ludicolo is favorable, but that's not true. I think almost everything is favorable, but I was not concerned by slapping everything in favorable because a lot of these decks have counters against Mew VMAX. Single strike Urshifu Umbreon has, of course, Umbreon VMAX on top of more Peko. Duraludon VMAX has, of course, the way it cannot get hit by special energies, and that's very good because if you survive some hits at one point, if you're playing that Hyper Potion Crystal Cave version, as I was saying, you're actually going to be surviving some hits, and you might turn that Duraludon matchup. Duraludon will be better than Mew VMAX in that way. Also, Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX has access to, of course, the Path to the Peak and Marnie combinations, which shuts down Mew VMAX. Arceus VSTAR Toolbox can early game aggression attack with the Zapdos, knocking out the Genesect if Genesect is in the active position. You can also utilize the one prize Dire Malevolent Charge Moltres to KO some stuff, so that is just even. Depends on how good Mew VMAX gets off. The cool thing is that Mew VMAX can attack with Meloetta, can also utilize its free retreat, can get itself back in the deck with Psychic Leap, so Mew VMAX is just so versatile that a lot of decks are even. Unfavorable is Malamar. You might wonder why that is. I've tested a lot against Mew VMAX, but it does... Like, Malamar typically is having a favorable matchup against it. Galarian Weezing Moltres also typically has a favorable matchup against it, although the escape ropes do help with that matchup. Eternatus VMAX and Gengar just hit for weakness. It's as basic as that, but sometimes you can win against those if you can get Alessa Sparkle have and knock out, let's say, an Eternatus V or a Gengar V on the opening slots instantly. So yeah. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the top 10 best decks with the Brilliant Stars format. Now, the biggest question of all, which deck will you master this season? So many options. Will Jolteon VMAX come back in the format? Will Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX come back in the format? Will people leave their Manaphy's at home? So many questions unanswered, but we're going to see that when I review all the regionals that are going to happen. And I'll see you guys also in Liverpool if you are from Europe. I'm going to be attending that regional championship as well. So it's going to be very cool to be playing in real life once again. I'm very eager to be playing. I have made this top 10 list, and if you guys want to know the community feedback for, of course, what do you guys think about the top 10 list? Let's just check it out. Number 1, you have Mew VMAX. Number 2, Duraludon VMAX. So that's kind of in theory with what we have. Arceus VSTAR is 1 higher than the Galarian Weezing build, so they think that is a little bit better than Galarian Weezing. And then Ice Rider on the number 5 spot, Gengar number 6, Single Strike Urshifu Umbreon number 7. They added in Durant here in this top 10, and then Malamar and Suicune Ludicolo. So almost everything we've talked about in this video, the community agrees on, except for random Durant. Will Durant actually win a crazy amount of tournaments in real life? Who knows? They already won a big tournament on LimitlessTCG with 300 players, so there's some room for rogue decks, and that's what I love about this current meta. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button. It helps out in ridiculous ways and only takes one tiny second of your time. So if you are, of course, want to help out the channel, that's the perfect way to do it. Also, check out our sponsors. They're over here, cardmarket.com, for European player to buy and sell cards to people all across Europe. You can use the referral name ZapdosTCG. Your playmat has, of course, playmats for everybody. You can create your custom playmat today, get 10% off, and they ship worldwide by clicking the link down below. Dragon Shields for the accessories, for the sleeves, for the deck box, for the binder. Go to Dragon Shield. The link is down below, the affiliated link. You're going to be helping out the channel so much. And of course, last but not least, PokemonStore.com, the best place to get TCGO code cards. They work for TCG Live as well. The perfect way to just play test for regionals or team challenges. Just play online, grind until you perfectionize your deck. So utilize the coupon code ZapdosTCG for 5% off over at PokemonStore. Anyhow, have yourself a fantastic rest of your day. What will you play at regionals? Let me know in the comments below. And this was ZapdosTCG. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.